Good morning, Lance. How are you?
Good. Good morning.
So, Lance, the offensive line is under siege. That means Caleb is under siege. It was unbelievable how many times he was hit, but he said, I'm sore, but I'll be ready to go, get back to work and try and fix it. There is no offensive line tree where you go, yeah, I need a left tackle, pluck one. They don't exist. How do you fix it in season?
Well, number one, you had all off season to prepare for this. In week one, the chink in the chain was exposed. So now moving forward, when you show a chink in the chain, now moving forward, every team that you play against is going to attack the chink of your chain, because until you can prove that you can stop it, that's going to be an issue. That's going to be how teams are going to attack our offensive line. However, now good offensive linemen, people don't trade them, they don't get rid of them. In the NFL, you keep them. So we have to figure out how to fundamentally block 4, 5, or even 6 rushers. We struggled with 5 rushers. We have 5 blockers. We should be able to block 5 pass rushers each time. The transition to the games when you're running twists, tom stunts, running any kind of stunts from the outside, moving in, the transition from shooting your hands to kicking out to picking up those blocks in those games was atrocious. And to me, that comes down to fundamentals. That comes down to fundamentals. That comes down to what we're practicing. So what we have to do is we have to get better within our own house, because we can't. The other option is to go trade away picks to go get somebody, but that somebody still doesn't guarantee that our blocking improves.
17 of the 22 guys that were rushing the football were our running backs, Swift and Homer and Herbert. What was your overall thoughts on the first 2 games of the season as far as the running game? Because it looks like our running backs are running into brick walls.
Well, when I look at our running game, it doesn't. Yeah, we'll run the ball. We'll run the ball here and there. But there's to me, there's no creative commitment to any kind of power running. We go into this game, we say, hey, we're going to run the ball, and you pull out Blasingame as our lead blocker. He missed a block on week 1. Well, let me tell you what, there were a lot of missed assignments in week 1. All right, and it wasn't just him; it was a bunch of guys, especially on that offensive side. So, so you're going to get an outside zone, you might get a split zone. Some of the daintier runs, for me, if you're going to commit to the run, you look at a San Francisco 49ers team, where they have pullers, they're running lead O's, they're trying to run it down your throat. To me, there's nothing that says that we're trying to run anything down anybody's throat. It's just a diversion from us getting the ball back in the air.
Lance, in terms of running silent count, because it's so noisy in there, you don't have an elite offensive line, and then your tackles on the silent are, just a click late getting off the ball, and you're trying to run outside with DeAndre Swift. That's a recipe for disaster. Would you go more under center? I think Caleb was under center only 5 or 6 times last night.
You got to have an answer for it. You're doing some of your O linemen and the execution of your offense a disservice if you guys can't be on the same page and in tune. Crowd noise has been a part of football since long before I ever even played the game. So how we approach it and how we combat that, it's obviously is up to the Bears. I don't think that the way that their game plan was effective last night, offensively, obviously for obvious reasons, but they're going to have to come up with a plan, a way. And if it's under center, so be it. so be it. And if it is under center, then shoot, let's take advantage of our run game and get into some power run game and run, because Lord knows that our quarterback, our offensive line could use a little help. And if you're pushing people forward, doubling down and mauling guys, maybe that plays to our favor.
The great Lance Briggs with us on the Cap and J Hood morning show after every Bears game right here on ESPN 1000. Lance, what's the difference between Justin Fields and Caleb Williams from last year to this year?
Great question. The biggest difference between the two of them, I've said this before. I think he's just he's a smaller version of Justin Fields. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a bad way. I like Justin. I like Caleb. But there are. I think the biggest difference is the people that are surrounded by him. For much of Justin Fields' career, he was surrounded by a huge dip or drop in talent. This Caleb Williams surrounded team it's got the best talent that we've been able to acquire in a very long time. So I think for Caleb, it's going to take time. It's going to take more time than people would have wanted, or expected, because of so much hype that's been built up around it. However, he's the number one pick. So the errant throws, the throws that aren't on the mark, are bothersome to me. They're very bothersome from a number one pick.
In terms of the fullback position, so they rule out Blasingame for injury. If it is something that he can't play with this week, do you go out and try and see if you could find a fullback in free agency? There's plenty of guys at that position because it's not as utilized as it used to be. Maybe you bring one in.
Yeah, I think for that position, it's not one of the, it's not one of the more complicated. Well, I won't say it's not one of the more complicated. Well, you could bring a guy in and put him in a role that is uncomplicated. Hey, listen, when you're in, you're sliding over, boom, we're going to lead here, we're going to lead there, we're going to split zone here. You can bring guys, I mean, this is the NFL. You can bring wide receivers. You can bring a lot of guys into different positions and have them and speed up the learning curve and prepare them for a week. I think it's tight. It's tight to have a fullback come in and have them prepare for a week. But if that's where we're headed, then yes, we need some help.
Give me your letter grade on the Bears defense yesterday. Early on, we saw that the Houston Texans, utilizing Diggs and definitely Nico Collins, was gashing the Bears, ran the football decent against the Bears. But what was your overall thoughts about the defense, especially in the first half?
Well, I'm going to grade them on a complete grade, from the first half and the second half, because the first half obviously wasn't as great as the second half. They made the right adjustments, and this is the second week in a row that the Bears defense really stifled the offense in the second half. I gave them a grade of A-, and I gave them a grade for A- because at giving up 310 yards rushing, 235 passing yards, which is 35 yards over what you want to give in defensive goals each week. You want to be under 200 yards. You want to be under 100 yards rushing, and they were under 100 yards rushing. They held them to 19 points. They had critical stops at the end of the game to give us an opportunity to win the game. They fought their tails off. They were on the field a lot. A-, in my opinion, holding the Texans to 19 points, I think is a more than fair grade.
So I like that Lance Briggs math. So first half B-, second half A+, ends up being an A-.
A-, correct.
There you go.
Love it.
That's that Briggs. That's that Briggs sliding math.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. To me, there's logic there.
Yes.
There's logic there, and it makes a whole lot of doggone sense.
I get it.
Lance, what was your takeaway on the two challenges The one with Kyler Gordon on the pick 6 that he got up and ran in. All right, it's a game-changing play that could have been the difference in a football game. I didn't think he caught it, and then the review proved that he didn't. The one I had a problem with was the first review. That was clear as day to me that his feet were in. That was a catch. What did you think of them?
Yeah, well, the issue I have with the first one is that he was right in front of the coach. It's right in front of the coach. So you're going to get a call from a guy that's upstairs that's going to say, hey, challenge this. And you're watching, it's right in front of you. Like you're the guy that diffuses the guy that's up saying, hey, we got to challenge that. No. I just watched the turf dots pop up on the ground. It's 2 feet in. It's 2 feet in. It's clear as day. I don't need any advice. I know exactly what happened. We're going to hold this red flag.
Yeah, makes sense.
It was right in front of him. It was right in front of him.
Yeah,
the head coach.
But he might not. Again, he might not have seen it. He's got so much going on there, but he does have someone in his headset who's looking at a replay going, challenge that.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's say, for argument's sake, the ball was, even though the catch happened right in front of him, his eyes were elsewhere. All right, which is crazy for a head coach. That there has to be somebody else, and he wasn't the only person that was on that sideline. Everybody watches that sideline. Now, as much as we want to get a call to go your way, and everyone's like, "Oh, that foot was out," and the referee say, "No, he was in." If somebody says, "Hey, we should challenge that," everybody on that sideline that was near that play is going to say, "No, he was in." He was no, he was in. So even if Eberflus didn't somehow see it right in front of him, see any of the turf dust kick up, there were other people that were right there that could say, "Oh, no, coach. No, coach." They might not have the headset, but they were there and they could have said, "No, he was definitely in."
Lance, I guess I can speak for Cap. It's not that the Bears lost. It's just the undisciplined nature of the ball club as well. There's a lot of stuff that happened. It's amazing that the Bears only lost by 6 points based on everything we just reviewed, but also the penalties too. Like that, some of the things that we saw there. And here's what's crazy. I found out my cousin Clyde went to the game in Houston, and we know that the roof was open. It was still loud.
Correct.
So I think that bothers us as well. The undisciplined nature, the amount of penalties that the Bears had. I think that also was a problem.
Yeah, shoot. It was crazy is the Texans had more penalties than the Bears.
The Texans had 12, the Bears had 9.
Yeah, for 115, I think, or something like that. The Bears had 9 for 60 yards, which is too much. Absolutely is too much. That's a difficult place to play when you have a Texans squad that's humming. I think there's been a past history of the Texans not being so great. But now they really have something to cheer for. But you're right, and finding out how we can battle those noises and getting the snap for our offense, reducing penalties on defense, and just reducing dumb penalties. As a whole, is something that I've seen Eberflus have a focus on. It's something that we've seen. We've seen years where our penalties have been out of control, and that's something that has been reduced since Eberflus is here. I don't see that as being something that's going to be a consistent problem.
Lance, have a great day, man. We appreciate you being a team